Splorgs and Lattes, A Time Traveler's Guide to 2024. Chapter 1, A Flash of Light. The Starbucks was alive with its usual symphony of clinking mugs, soft conversations, and the hiss of steam escaping from espresso machines. Patrons occupied their usual spots, a beanie-clad man in the corner buried in his laptop, a trio of college students giggling over pumpkin spice lattes, and a barista wiping down the counter while contemplating whether she could survive one more shift this week. Then, it happened. The lights flickered, the air hummed ominously, and the faint smell of burnt toast permeated the room. With a crackling burst, a bolt of blue light shot down from nowhere, slamming into the center of the cafe floor. The commotion left everyone frozen mid-sip, mid-bite, and mid-scroll, as the light coalesced into a single figure. The figure stood tall and impossibly straight, draped in a metallic jumpsuit that shimmered like molten chrome. A pair of enormous goggles covered its face, blinking and whirring in an unsettlingly rhythmic way. By its side hovered what appeared to be a clipboard made entirely of translucent light. "Greetings, denizens of 2024, it boomed in a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of an aluminum cavern. I am Protocol Designation Zaphonious Thremblebutt, emissary from the year 3024. I have traveled through the temporal continuum to observe your quaint customs for the great historical archives of the future." For several moments, no one moved. The sound of steaming milk was the only noise, and even that seemed apologetic. Finally, the barista, clutching her caramel drizzle bottle as if it were a makeshift sword, took a hesitant step forward. Hi," she said, her voice wobbling. "Can I get you something? Coffee? A latte? A pumpkin spice thing?" Zaphonious cocked its head, the goggles blinking rapidly. "Pumpkin spice? Is that a beverage? Or a ceremonial flavoring used in your tribal rituals?" "It's a drink," the barista clarified, still unsure whether she was hallucinating. "And, do you have a name? Or should I just call you Zaphonious?" "My designation is not a name," Zaphonious proclaimed. "It is a harmonic resonance identifier, transcendent of primitive identity markers. However, if you require such labels for your limited neural processing, Zaphonious will suffice." From the corner, the man in the beanie snorted loudly. "Oh, great," he muttered. "Another one who's too good for pronouns." Chapter 2, The Pronoun Puzzle. The words hung in the air, and Zaphonious turned toward the man, goggles whirring. Pronouns," it exclaimed, voice tinged with delight. "Fascinating relics of linguistic antiquity. Our historian spoke of them in preparation for this mission. Pray, what are the current pronouns of 2024? The barista froze, her face flushing a deep crimson. She glanced around the room as if hoping someone else might answer, but no one came to her rescue. Finally, she stammered, "Well, there's he, she, they, ze, xe, and a bunch of others. And how does one select these pronouns?" Zaphonious inquired, leaning forward eagerly. Its goggles blinked in a sequence that somehow felt both invasive and genuinely curious. "Are they determined by lunar phases? Or perhaps chosen during your ceremonial coming-of-age rites?" "No," the barista said, her voice thin and strained. "You just pick. Or whatever fits, I guess?" Zaphonious scribbled furiously on the glowing clipboard, its stylus emitting faint sparks. "Extraordinary! In 3024, we eliminated pronouns entirely. Everyone is referred to as Splorg or esteemed non-linear entity. Much simpler. No confusion." A chuckle rippled through the cafe, breaking the tension. One of the college students raised her hand hesitantly. "Wait," she asked, "how do you talk about someone who's not there? Like, how would you say, Splorg went to the store?" Zaphonious turned to her, goggles flickering dismissively. "We do not speak of the absent. If someone wishes to be included in a conversation, they materialize via quantum tethering. Simple. Efficient. Why expend energy discussing individuals who cannot respond?" The students exchanged wide-eyed glances. Zaphonious, oblivious to their horror, scribbled something else onto the clipboard. Chapter 3, Hygiene Hiccups. Zaphonius's curiosity led it deeper into the cafe, stopping abruptly at the restroom door. Its goggles focused on the laminated sign that read, "Employees must wash hands." "Wait," it said, pointing a glowing stylus at the sign. "You require a reminder to cleanse yourselves after engaging in excretory functions?" "Well," the barista began, her voice faltering, "some people forget." "Forget?" Zaphonius's voice reverberated with genuine shock. "Esteemed non-linear entities. This explains so much about your microbial history. Entire pandemics could have been avoided with basic adherence to hygiene." "I mean," the barista muttered, "you're not wrong." The man in the beanie spoke up again, smirking. "Buddy, if you think that's bad, you should see fast food." "Fast food?" Zaphonius echoed, tilting its head. "Is that a culinary phenomenon or a species trait?" "Both," the beanie man replied with a shrug, earning a few chuckles from the crowd. Chapter 4, Sensitivity Lessons. By this point, Zaphonius had drawn a crowd of curious patrons, each more baffled than the last. Near the condiment station, a hipster with an intricately groomed mustache stepped forward, holding an oat milk core to do. "Hey, Zaphonius," the hipster began cautiously, "just a heads up. People might not like it if you call pronouns artifacts, or say we're stuck in a bygone era." "Why not?" Zaphonius asked, its goggles flickering with genuine curiosity. "It's just not very sensitive," the hipster explained. Zaphonius paused, tilting its head in a way that suggested deep thought. Finally, it nodded solemnly. "Understood. From this moment forward, I shall refer to pronouns as chronolinguistic identity markers. Does this adjustment meet your societal standards of sensitivity?" The hipster gave an approving nod. "Cool. Thanks for being open-minded." "Of course," Zaphonius replied. Sensitivity is paramount in primitive cultures. Chapter 5, The Departure. As Zaphonius continued to scribble on its glowing clipboard, the light around it began to shimmer faintly, signaling its impending departure. "Thank you, 2024 humans, for allowing me to observe your customs," it announced, stepping into the center of the cafe. "Your peculiar habits, while often perplexing, have provided invaluable data for the great historians of the future." With a dramatic flourish, Zaphonius tapped the clipboard. The air around it shimmered, and with a deafening crack, it vanished, leaving nothing behind but a faint smell of ozone. For several moments, the Starbucks was silent. Then, the barista let out a long sigh, setting down her caramel drizzle bottle. "I'm gonna need a pumpkin spice latte after that," she muttered. "Better make it two," the beanie man quipped, earning a few weary laughs from the crowd. Life at Starbucks resumed as usual, but for days to come, its patrons would swap stories of the metallic figure with the clipboard of light, each recounting more outlandish details than the last. Some wondered if Zaphonius had been real at all, while others couldn't stop obsessing over what Splorg might mean for humanity's future. Either way, everyone agreed on one thing: the future sounded exhausting. Chapter 6. A Rippling Effect. Life at the Starbucks eventually returned to its usual rhythm, though the peculiar visit from Zaphonious Thremblebutt lingered in everyone's minds. Some patrons treated it like a fever dream, brushing off the encounter with a shaky laugh. Others, particularly the man in the beanie, seized every opportunity to bring it up, recounting the absurdity to anyone who would listen. But the real ripple effect was felt in small, unexpected ways. For one, the barista, her name was Lucy, though few customers bothered to learn it, found herself deeply unsettled by the "employees must wash hands" sign that Zaphonius had scrutinized. "Forget?" Zaphonius had said, the word dripping with incredulity. The memory haunted her. That weekend, she spent 3 hours drafting an email to corporate suggesting the addition of more positive reinforcement on the signs, like "Thanks for keeping everyone safe." Meanwhile, the college students at the window table couldn't stop discussing Zaphonius's casual dismissal of pronouns. "Okay, but what if we deduced Splorg for everyone?" one of them mused during a late-night study session. "Like, gender-neutral but also kinda spacey?" "It's weird," another replied. "But maybe it's genius. Like, Imagine how much drama we'd avoid if no one argued about it anymore. Yeah, the first student agreed, but imagine the confusion if everyone was just Splorg. Like, Splorg said Splorg wants Splorg's latte now. They laughed, but the seed of an idea had been planted. The next day, the students made a TikTok mocking the concept. To their surprise, it went viral. Chapter 7, Zaphonious goes viral. Within a week, the TikTok reached millions of views. Clips of Zaphonious's imaginary dialogue, complete with glowing goggles and a metallic voice filter, swept across the internet. People latched onto the concept of a Splorg, using it ironically at first, but then more earnestly. Comments flooded in. Honestly, why not just call everyone Splorg? Gender's a construct anyway. Can't believe this started at a random Starbucks in 2024. Wait, what if Zaphonious was real? The latter question sent conspiracy forums into a frenzy. Users pieced together blurry photos from the cafe security cameras, grainy as they were. Theories abounded. Was Zaphonious an elaborate marketing stunt for some sci-fi movie? A government experiment? Or was it, as some believed, actual evidence of time travel? Among the chaos, Lucy found herself increasingly overwhelmed. Every day, customers came in asking, "Is this the Starbucks where the time traveler showed up?" They demanded pumpkin spice lattes while interrogating her about the metallic being. Some even asked if they could summon Zaphonious by ordering a specific drink. Lucy tried to ignore them, focusing instead on her newly acquired compulsive hand-washing habit. Chapter 8, The Council of Hipsters. Meanwhile, the man in the beanie, whose name was Marcus, took it upon himself to capitalize on the moment. One evening, Marcus hosted a council of hipsters at a local brewery to discuss the deeper implications of Zaphonious's visit. The event drew a small crowd of intellectuals, artists, and amateur conspiracy theorists. Between sips of craft IPAs, they debated everything from the ethics of quantum tethering to the socio-political ramifications of a pronoun-less future. "Think about it," Marcus said, adjusting his beanie for dramatic effect. "Zaphonious didn't come here by accident. Splorg, came to show us something. To challenge our assumptions." A woman with purple hair raised her pint glass. "If we're gonna embrace a world without pronouns, do we need to rethink names, too? Like, should we all just be Zaphonious or Splorg?" Another attendee, wearing round glasses that fogged up every time he sipped his stout, chimed in. "Or maybe we need to reject Zaphonious's ideas. After all, isn't individuality part of what makes us human?" The debates grew louder and more abstract until the brewery staff politely asked them to leave. Chapter 9, A Glitch in the Continuum. Back in 3024, Zaphonious stood before a panel of glowing, floating entities. The great historians hovered in a semicircle, their forms shifting between colors and shapes like sentient lava lamps. Zaphonious had just delivered its report on the customs of 2024. "Fascinating," one of the historians intoned, its voice like a ripple on a calm lake. "And yet, concerning." "Indeed," said another, whose form resembled a cloud of shimmering sand. "It appears our interventions may have unintended consequences." The emergence of the term Splorged in their timeline was not predicted. Zaphonious adjusted its goggles nervously. "I merely observed and documented. I did not anticipate their adoption of Splorg as a societal identifier." "The ripple effects are already measurable," the first historian said. By 2073, the widespread use of Splorg disrupts traditional linguistic evolution. By 2150, it becomes mandatory nomenclature on a global scale. This skews cultural development, culminating in an unforeseen collapse of the galactic linguistic consensus in 2785. Zaphonious blinked rapidly. "Shall I return to correct the timeline?" "No," the historians replied in unison. "We must let it play out. The great continuum balances itself. Or so we hope." Zaphonious bowed its head. "Understood. I shall await further instructions." As the meeting dissolved into shimmering light, Zaphonious couldn't help but wonder if it had truly misunderstood humanity, or if humanity, in all its chaotic splendor, was simply impossible to predict. Chapter 10, Legacy. By the end of 2024, Splorg was no longer just a viral joke. It became a symbol of playful rebellion, of questioning norms without taking oneself too seriously. People started calling their pets Splorg. T-shirts with slogans like "Call me Splorg" became bestsellers. Even corporations jumped on the bandwagon, using Splorg in ad campaigns. Splorg wants you to buy our coffee. Lucy, the barista, quit her job and went back to school, inspired by Zaphonious to study anthropology. Marcus, the beanie man, published a self-help book titled Embracing Your Inner Splorg. The college students behind the viral TikTok landed a deal for a web series exploring the future according to Zaphonious. And somewhere, in the vast stretches of time and space, Zaphonious Thremblebutt observed it all, clipboard in hand, marveling at the peculiar and unpredictable species known as humanity. The end, or is it? Well done for making it to the end once again. It's been fun. Let's do it again sometime. Don't forget to leave any story suggestions in the comments and we'll try bring them to life. And if you really enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, or don't, be your own splorge. Much love.